So I came home from that trip and I promptly told my husband, I'm going to open a death doula business. And he went, oh, okay, like the show that we watched the other day. And I was like, we watched a show about death doulas? Okay. So he knew about it. I didn't. Obviously, I slept through that episode. So that's how it's led me to guiding goodbyes now. A death doula, just so y'all are aware of what it is, it's a non-medical professional that helps holistically at the end of life. What does holistically mean? It can mean a lot of things. It can mean physically, emotionally, spiritually, logistically. What do you want to do with your body when you die? But the biggest thing is that we are all unbiased. We don't put what we want for you to do. We do what you want us to do. And we make sure to try and make your death as peaceful as possible.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's 9 o'clock on Wednesday, and that means it's time for 1 Million Cups. So I hope that's what you're all here for. The first thing to do is to check in. So point your smartphone at that QR code or at the cards that are sitting around on the tables, and let the Kaufman Foundation know that the Albuquerque chapter of 1 Million Cups is thriving. That's not without reward to you. If you check in on 3 separate occasions, you'll get a pen. 6 separate occasions, you'll get the coveted 1 Million Cups notebook. See, I know you got your notebook yet? She's got hers. All right.
Guys, communicating with our audience.
All right. And here's our mission. Our mission is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for entrepreneurs all across the United States. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey, and you don't know what you don't know, and you're going to need help along the way. So that's what Million Cups is here for. And we're here to give you the advice and the connections that you need to advance your business. All right, and how do we do that? We have a program from the Kaufman Foundation, which trains our organizers, provides the software for the back end that we use, and helps us get a consistent presentation in this instance of Million Cups. And I think if you went to any of the other chapters, you'd be very familiar with the format and the kinds of questions and the kind of people that are presenting. Every community is unique, and we try to take advantage of the special characteristics of New Mexico. Wow.
Does it turn on?
It's turned on, but it may have battery problems. There we go. Wrong way. Okay, that's it. There are many other chapters of 1 Million Cups across the country, almost 200 of them. We are the top chapter of New Mexico, and we achieve that by having a small denominator. There are other chapters that you can see scattered throughout the Southwest. If your travels take you on the road, please feel free to drop in at 9 a.m. anytime at any one of those places. And there's no strangers, there's just friends you haven't met. You'll be very familiar with what you're encountering there. Have a chance here. Yes. All right. So how does this work? Here's our key pillars. These are presentations, not pitches. So in a pitch, you're typically trying to extract money from an investor, or you're trying to get a customer to buy your product, and you're putting your best foot forward. You're not talking about the things that trouble you, the challenges that your business had, and the things that you have to do that you don't know how to do. And that's what we are here for. So when you come to 1 Million Cups, you can drop the sales pitch for a little bit, and just talk about the problems and challenges. And that's what makes it useful. Oh, well, we went way ahead. All right. It's me. Oh, it's not the clicker. It's me personally. That's great. Okay. So we're here to make authentic connections, not networking, so like our interaction with technology is kind of impersonal, but we can relate to each other as human beings and make some real connections, not just see how many business cards we could pass out in 15 minutes. We're run for the community, by the community. All of the organizers are volunteers, which is not to say we're masochistic altruists. We all get something out of it. And we're radically and intentionally inclusive. All kinds of people are welcome here. All kinds of businesses are welcome here. Brick and mortar shops, mom and pop shops, maybe a whiteboard company that has a little bit of grant funding, a company that's scaling, or a company that's gone all the way and wants to drop by and tell us how it's done. All of those folks are welcome here, and we like to provide a friendly environment for all of them. And that's kind of what this is about. This is an educational environment. We should be respectful of each other. If you're having a conversation and the other person knows a lot more about something than you do, you should listen carefully and ask good questions. If you are the expert on whatever it is that you're talking about, please be patient with them. Answer their questions as politely as possible. And that should move our mission forward. If you hear someone stand up and say something that you strongly disagree with, that might be a good time to keep your opinion to yourself in the interest of community. All right. It's easy to apply to present. You can talk to any of the organizers and we can talk you through it. Or if you're a hacker, you can try to get through the website and do it yourself. Just kidding. It's a little bit easier than that. All right. And yeah, why should you present? If you have a for-profit business defined as a business that sells goods or services for more than it costs to produce them, and you're in market and you've sold to someone besides your mom, and you've been in business for less than 5 years, you're the perfect company to present here. Now, we do make exceptions. The organizers are allowed to present whatever they want because we're filling gaps in the schedule, right? But we will accommodate your needs, and we will coach you on how to give the 1 Million Cups talk instead of the investor talk or the customer talk. So please apply, and I think you'll benefit from it. And don't wait for some company milestone. I'm taking my own advice here. I've been waiting for some company milestone. I said, the heck with it. I'm going to talk on May 22nd. Just don't wait for something special to happen. Come here, give a talk, something special will happen. All right, here's our organizing team. I'm Paul Sutter with Equity. Lisa Atkins here with Fat Pipe. Eric Brins Whitmore is in Santa Fe, keeping everything running. Danielle is going to present today, and Keiko and Oscar are making people look good in legacy family documentaries. And you could be here. We are still looking for an organizer. Talk to Lisa about how to apply. The qualifications are, you know people in the community, you're willing to put some time in. You're going to come to most 1 Million Cups on Wednesdays. That's about it. And then you'll do some work outside of Wednesday. So please, we're looking for another organizer to keep things thriving, and it could be you. It's a pleasure to thank our sponsors. Fat Pipe, our sponsor for these 10 years, giving us no rent place to present 1 Million Cups. We couldn't exist without Fat Pipe, so bravo. Dry Heat Photography, Deanna's making us look good every week on Facebook. And More Than Organized, Miriam is here to organize your stuff, your thoughts, and provide creamer. Foundation for Sustainable Living brings our coffee. Beyond Energy, if coffee's not enough for you, they have the solution. Noventum Custom Software, building software that doesn't suck and providing donuts. And Minuteman Press for all your ink and paper needs. So again, thanks to all of our sponsors for keeping it rolling. And I'll hand it off to you.
Yes.
Did you coach yourself?
No.
Oh, Lisa coached you. Okay.
All right, we're talking death today, guys, and I wonder if that's why we have such a big audience. So you guys have some really good friends, and I'm happy to see everybody here. We're going to hear from 2 death doulas today. First, we're going to hear from Brooke Nutting with Death Doula Professionals, and then we're going to hear an update from Danielle Slepesky with Crossroads End of Life Services. So Brooke, come on up. I'm going to give you the remote for the slide deck. And I'm going to try not to touch the screen because when I touch the screen, I screw things up. So I'm going to step away.
All righty.
Here's your thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everybody, here and in Zoom land. We appreciate you coming out. My name is Brooke Nutting, also known as Death Doula Brooke. I own Death Doula Professionals. And I started this business because I have a very simple, straightforward path in how I became a death doula. You'll see that. I started in accounting, I moved to construction, and I went to death. Totally makes sense. I'm going to start first with the accounting part of it. My story in numbers. My story started when I was 4 years old. I was shadowing my father, who owned our family business. And the one thing he constantly told us was, you need to hire an accountant to run a business. And he goes, better yet, you need to become an accountant so you can run your own business. So I took that advice. And in 2005, I became a certified public accountant. I decided to take the path of auditing instead of CPA tax world because taxes are, oof. all of us worked in accounting. All of us became tax accountants from January to April. And on April 15th of every year, I went on vacation for a week to get away from taxes. Once that part of my career came to an end, I became an internal auditor. Internal auditing basically means I work for a company and look to see if your procedures are in place. Then in about mid-2000s, Albuquerque had a big fraud scandal that came out, and the accounting department figured it out. And so that's when I decided I was going to become a fraud investigator. What that means is I became a certified fraud examiner in 2008, and I worked for a company that allowed me to look at their policies and procedures and see what was going on. Sometimes I would get notifications that an employee was stealing, and I'd put all the puzzle pieces together and then present that back to the manager, and then they would decide if the employee got to keep its job or not. I then was given the opportunity to work for Medicaid fraud and elder abuse, looking at the financial side of Medicaid fraud. It was fascinating. Same thing, put all the puzzle pieces together, present it to the attorneys, and then they would decide if they were going to prosecute or if they were going to close the case. I really liked my job. I didn't like being the person that put the nail in the coffin for the person. You lost your job because you committed fraud, or you were prosecuted because you committed fraud. So I decided with my husband to Brighton Homes in New Mexico. We bought a construction company. I started selling round skylights called solar tubes. And Don and I did this work for many years. I loved it. It was still putting the puzzle pieces together, figuring out what the problem was for people, and then solving it with daylight. So this is what we mostly did, is we did dark homes, and in 2 hours, thank you, we would brighten houses and make them bright and cheery. So I really transformed from being the bad guy to being the person who solved problems a lot. Really, really like that. Then in 2015, my father passed away of Lewy body dementia. This is not my first death. And as a lot of people know, there's one person in a family that typically is the one that's the go-to. My first death experience was in 2008. Nope, sorry, was when I was 8 years old. I apologize. And I had been with several people after that, starting in my early 20s. But this one was different. My father had to be in in-hospital hospice, and the company that was managing it changed my life. I saw how comfortable it could be for them and my family to be together during such a transformational time. I thought I could do this. And then I put that away in a little box and went back to doing the natural lighting company. And then in 2023, my husband and I decided to sell our business. And I was presented with a path of opportunity and options, which I had never had before. I always quit a job on a Friday and started another job on a Monday. But I was able to take some time off and see what I really wanted to do. So I started to visit family and friends, because all of us that work and own our own businesses, we don't take a lot of vacations usually. And I was sitting with my mom and my brother in Oregon around the dinner table when my sister-in-law came in and asked me, hey, if you could do anything without thought of money, what would you do? And before I could even think about it, I answered, I'd be in hospice. And all of my family looked at me, because all of us are accountants. And they went, what? Why are you doing that? So I was like, oh, okay, this will be good. Put that away. Went on several more vacations and ended up with a friend in Ohio who also owned her own business. And on the last night, we were sitting in her parlor together, and she looked at me and said, hey, have you ever thought about working in hospice? I was like, as a matter of fact, I have, but I don't know how to monetize it. She goes, oh, it'll be easy. You'll be a death doula. A death what? So Google comes out, and I just Google it on my phone and figure out what's going on. And sure enough, that's what I've been doing with friends and family for all of these years. And I went, I can do that. So I came home from that trip and I promptly told my husband, I'm going to open a death doula business. And he went, oh, okay, like the show that we watched the other day. And I was like, we watched a show about death doulas? Okay. So he knew about it. I didn't. Obviously, I slept through that episode. So that's how it's led me to guiding goodbyes now. A death doula, just so you all are aware of what it is, it's a non-medical professional that helps holistically at the end of life. What does holistically mean? It can mean a lot of things. It can mean physically, emotionally, spiritually, logistically. What do you want to do with your body when you die? But the biggest thing is that we are all unbiased. We don't put what we want for you to do. We do what you want us to do. And we make sure to try and make your death as peaceful as possible. We are not separate. We are separate from hospice and palliative care, but we work together with them to bring the whole pieces in. So think of us, has anybody here been married before? Thank you. So when you're planning an event, like a wedding, that's a big party that you're trying to get together. You hire an event planner for that. We buy or sell a house. I've done that. I've hired a real estate agent to help me with that. So that's what a death doula is. We bring all of the pieces together as a professional to help guide you and your loved ones through the process. These are a few of the things that can happen. There are about 20 of us currently in the state that are practicing, and not a single one of us does the exact same thing. I tend to focus on the planning side. I use my numbers because I like that aspect of things. But some people want to work with inmates. Some people want to work solely as a grief counselor or a project, legacy projects. So there's a bunch of us out there for different needs. But for me, it's about sitting and holding space with you and your family. Because a lot of times on your deathbed, you're thinking about how much regret you have or how much forgiveness you need for either you or somebody who's wronged you or you've wronged them. And so it helps you get an idea of helping that person finish their days the best way that they can. So this is my timeline. September of 23, I came home and told my husband I was going to be a death doula. Then in December, I committed to a death doula school. There are a lot of training out there. We are not an overseeing body that tells us what we have to do. So I found the one that works best for me and started that in January. In February, I opened Death Doula Professionals and started sharing an office with Danielle with Conscious Crossroads. And then in March, I became a certified death doula. On April 1st, I opened my business and I currently have my first paying client. That's exciting. Yay. My challenges are, I bought a business the last time. That was easy. Starting a business from scratch is hard. Holy cow, I had no idea. My current problem, and I see a lot of nodding faces, yes, I'm not alone. My current challenge is social media. Last time I employed a millennial to do all of my social media. Well, budget's tight right now, so I'm learning all of those things. So if you would, go out, like me on Facebook and Instagram, that would be great. I appreciate that. And then just in general, overcoming people's fears, talking about death. We talk about death, doesn't mean we're going to die any sooner. And then pre-planning. Pre-planning is a gift that you give to your family. It allows them to just grieve your loss, not have to deal with all the financial stuff that comes after death. So if you have any questions, my name is Brooke. I own Death Doula Professionals, and I appreciate you allowing me to come speak today.
Because we have two speakers today, we're going to take about 10 minutes for questions, almost 15. So form a line over here and we'll keep an eye on the chat box too. If anybody wants to ask a question, come on up.
I'll cut across.
Thank you.
Hi, Miriam with More Than Organized. I love that the first thing you did was connect with Danielle and not be competitors, but be collaborators. So that's fantastic. In terms of your social media, have you spent some time already figuring out your mission statement and your vision so that you can write your messaging before you even start thinking about which platforms are going to work?
I have thought a little bit about that. I know Facebook is probably our most prolific area, just because of age and demographic. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well, which is interesting because I have a younger demographic that is really interested in what I'm doing. And so those are my two. I'm on LinkedIn as well because that's just the building community of us, who we are. So, but
Have you planned the messaging?
no, I'm working on it. I just got it up on Saturday. So,
Okay. It's important to start with what you want to say and who to say it to, and then you create the actual media.
We're gonna
Thank
take a question online. Andrea Moon. Would you like to ask your question? It's a good one.
Oh, sure. Hi. Hi, Brooke.
Hey, Andrea.
Um, I was just curious if you, excuse my voice, cold. Do you offer your services online for people that are outside of Albuquerque?
Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that question. Because of technology now, we can do that. That is one of the services that we do offer. It's not publicized yet because my website's still being constructed, but yeah, that is definitely something we do with the use of Zoom and other technologies. If you want us to fly out, we've done that as well. That would be an option.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up.
So I'm Eva Thane and I'm a retired RN. And so basically, if I were doing your business, I would be at all of the senior centers and community health centers in Albuquerque. I would hand out flyers, but that would not work exactly. What I would do is do just like you did for us here and talked about what you do, and then have maybe interactions with some of the older people about what they want, and those will be your clients. And so it's hard to get into assisted livings. It's easier to get into home care places and do presentations. And I'm not sure if you can do continuing ed units, but if you can, you'll get a whole lot of RNs and medical people. So, but thank you. It's an awesome idea for business. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that feedback. Because death doula is such a new term, we're actually seeing a lot of businesses reaching out to us because they want to know how they can incorporate death doulas, or they're having patients that are asking them, I need help planning this. It's not something that they're necessarily comfortable with, but yeah, senior centers are on my to-do list. Thank you.
Come on up. Great.
I am Molly Moran with Green Sweep and the Live Right Movement, and I know you from Solitubes from years ago.
Yes.
Hi,
Yeah.
nice to see you. So my question for you is, who is your ideal client avatar? Because that will help you with your messaging too. I mean, is it people who are in hospice, approaching it, or people who want to get ahead of the curveball? Who is your ideal client avatar?
So I think my ideal client going into this 6 months ago was going to be the person who was dying. But I'm finding that I think it's going to be family members who are just overwhelmed. I had a friend who was in her 50s and first time she'd ever experienced a death and was super overwhelmed by it. So I'm still refining that because I think it's an evolving conversation, planning obviously younger. But then active dying could be something that's more with a family member.
Awesome. When you figure that out, my recommendation for you would be when you start on your social media, just talk to that person over and over and over again. And if it doesn't take off from there, then you can grow your avatar or change your avatar from there. But the more you talk specifically to the person you want to serve, the more you'll attract business.
Thank you. Good luck. Thank you.
I wrote Brooke sold Mama a Solitude. She didn't sell me a Solitude because it wouldn't work.
I tried.
No, she tried, but it wouldn't work. And that's the thing. If it don't work, she'll tell you. Brooke is a great operator. I've dealt with so many clients as an advertising agent over time. And Brooke stands out as an operator. So I'm just going to say that. And I also want to congratulate you for not naming your business Your Final Accounting.
I'm gonna save that for another business though. Thank you.
Come on up if you guys have questions. I have one, Brooke, or maybe just a verification. So my mom was sick she had a disease for 12 years. We knew she was gonna die of the disease. But she never did. And then the last 3 months, it was like a huge decline. And we had kept encouraging my mom, you know, let's introduce you to Danielle. Like, you need a death doula. And she's like, oh, need a death doula? Go jump off, a wall. Like, but as we started working with Danielle, we realized that, yeah, she agreed she needed one, but the rest of us needed her more. And so, it's just such a healing thing to happen when a family comes together to help someone die. Yeah, so I think you need to be marketing to people like me.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate, thank you for sharing your story. And that's a pretty common conversation. In my family as well, the older generation doesn't necessarily want to rely on somebody that they have to pay to be in there and be with them. Whereas my generation and a little bit younger is happy to hire somebody to help navigate and guide them through that. So I will take that into consideration, Lisa. Thank you.
I'm Barbara Dawson with Purple Mulch. And I was having a conversation with my daughter in Chicago yesterday, who works in the ICU at Rush Hospital. And they have locked doors as you go into that area because tension and everything is so high. Emotions are so high. When the nurses go, your brother's dying. He's not going to recover. And there's a lot of stuff going on there. Somebody even threatened one of the nurses. Don't tell me that. If you tell me that, I'm going to punch you in the face, kind of stuff. So there's a lot of tension. So I'm thinking that if there was a way you could get into the ICU people, get into the nurses, the caretakers, and maybe even stick signs up. Maybe you already do, but that's a place that I would strongly encourage you to reach out because those people need you.
Thank you for that. That's a great idea. I will make that happen.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew Moser. I'm with Sacred Patterns Acupuncture. Mike, I just have a quick question. So can you briefly tell us the difference between a death doula and palliative care?
So palliative care is more about the medical side of things. More about assisting you so that you're not in pain towards the end of your life, which is what we want as individuals and as death doulas. As death doulas, we do more of the non-medical side of things. We do conversations, answering questions, facilitating conversations with your loved ones who's going to pass. So it's that aspect of it. We do a little bit more of the touchy-feely stuff. And we all work together. Hospice, palliative care, death doulas, we are all part of the same team to give you the best opportunity for your last days as we can.
I'm Jan Radoslovich from Seattle, came here to hear you, so. Yeah, anyway, so I work, actually, I'm a retired nurse and I work for a home health, reserve home health agency. And so, of course, my first question was, when you project your business 2 or 3 years down the road, do you see yourself as being a solo practice? Or do you see yourself as running a big death doula agency?
That's a great question, and one that has been a topic of conversation since day one, the first day I met Danielle and everybody within our death doula community. A lot of us like the heart-centered work that we do. Most of us don't like running businesses. Since I've done running businesses before, that's okay. So I go back and forth almost daily as to whether or not I'm going to do it as a solo practitioner or if I'm going to be a business. So stay tuned. Maybe I'll have employees in 3 years, maybe in 6 months. I don't know. We'll see how this all comes together.
I'm sure there'll be lots more questions. You guys can talk to Brooke after, but I have 2 more. Red or green?
Green.
And what's the one thing this community can do for you today?
So I'd like to have you guys add me to your toolbox. So when you have an uncomfortable conversation that comes up around death and dying, pull me out of your back pocket and go, I know somebody who can talk with you about this and help guide you. So just keep me in your back pocket. That's really what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Come on,